Irvin is a retired cab driver. Hello, Irvin.
Hello, mate. Hello, Robert. How are you?
How many years were you behind the wheel?
40.
Wow. So you put in the miles.
Yeah.
And did you use a shelter?
I was my regular shelter was St John's Wood, which was the very first shelter you mentioned, Alcacia Road.
Yeah.
It originally went there, but then it went to I think where you live. It went to outside of the York and Albany.
Did it really?
Yes, it was there, and it was run by Les for many years.
Whereabouts outside the York and
Albany? Well, they were always named because they liked the drink near the pubs.
Right.
And it was outside the York and Albany. Then it moved around to opposite Lord's Cricket Ground.
Yeah.
I forget a lot of the streets there. And and I frequented that one for 29 years.
And did you go to others, or were you loyal to that one?
Sometimes we used to have a change. Monday nights used to go to the Temple,
right,
which was outside in Temple Place. By the.
And would you get regulars in there so you'd know you're going to meet Harry or you're going to meet?
It's very clicky.
Is it?
Clicky place. What we still. But the boys never went in there. They thought it was so clicky they wouldn't put their head in. If they did, they never said a word when they came in.
Butter boys being the new boys, boys on the block.
I was telling your researcher that there was one at Hyde Park Corner. I think it went away when they built the underpass.
Yeah.
And it used to be frequented by Ava Gardner. Used to go in there.
Really?
Yeah, and Lord Lucan.
No.
Yeah.
Perhaps he's still in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and the funny one, they all had nicknames, and the St John's Wood was called the Chapel because of the chapel in the middle of St John's Wood Circus.
Yep, I know the one you mean, yeah.
And the funny one was called the Bell and Horns, which was just past Harrods in the middle of the road.
Why the Bell and Horns?
Again, because I think maybe there was a pub there or something.
Right.
And that often got hit by cars and lorries in the middle of the road. You used to go in 1 minute you were eating your dinner, next thing you know you were wearing it.
Do you miss it?
I do miss the cab, but it's been a long time. I had to retire from ill health at the time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I do miss it. And the shelters, as I said, it was very hard to get in.
But once you were in,
the first night I went into mine, I said to my wife, this was back in the early 70s, I think 60s. I said, I'm going to try this new place to eat. And they used to hold about 10 or 12 people sitting round with a flap, you see. You get into a flap of the table. And I said, I'm going to eat at this new place today. I'm going to try one of those little shelters. So I went in there, and somebody opened the flap, and it fell off on my head. They gave me a black eye. So my wife said to me, "What do you have to fight for your dinner in there, or what?"
How brilliant. Given how long ago did you retire, Irvin?
2008, I gave up my licence.
If you came back out again tomorrow, would you still remember it, do you reckon?
I do remember a lot of the streets. I watch telly, I recognise all the streets and everything. When I did it in 1968, it took me part-time 14 months, but people were doing it in 9 months, the knowledge.
It takes about 4 years now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I had a great time in the knowledge, great bunch of lads. There was 8 of us, and on our mopeds. We had a great time.
Well, Irvin, thank you so much for talking to us. And that was Irvin, who was a cab driver. And Clint, who still is a cab driver, is on the line now. Hello, Clint.
Afternoon, Robert. How are you, mate?
Very well indeed. Do you use one of the shelters?
I used to go in the one in Pont Street. The sole reason was I used to park the cab up across the road.
Yep.
Because my wife used to run a flower store that used to be on Sloane Street.
Oh, I see.
And the proprietor used to go in there. He knew the girl that ran it. So you go over there and say, we can get about 8 sausage sandwiches for the girls on the store. And I go over there and all the cab drivers been there and give me a dirty look. And I said, I am a cab driver. But I never used to sit it. I sat in here once, and that was enough for me. Because
really?
I was Chelsea supporters. And they said, oh, you're a QPR supporter. Nothing wrong with that. But it was, what I would say, it was very clicky.
Right.
And the thing is, if you they all knew each other and known each other about 15, 20 years. If you weren't known to them, then it was,
it was hard work.
Yeah, hard work, yeah. Especially when I told them that time we beat them 6-0, they had the right up. And then I used to go up to the one at Kensington Road. And I went in there one night and it drove me absolutely. It was like being at home. They was nagging each other. Oh, well, did you know I had in the back of the cab last night? Well, I'll tell you. And it drove me mad. I went, that's it. Good night. I'm off. And they all started laughing. But the one in Pont Street, apparently, that's where Frank Sinatra wound up in there.
Frank Sinatra? What, in his cab driving days?
Yeah, before he become a singer and a QPR supporter. Apparently, I think he was staying at the Colton Towers. I'm not sure, one of them hotels.
Yeah.
And apparently, he wound up in there for some reason. He went to all the cab drivers, all Frank Sinatra fans. This is going back probably 60s, early 70s.
It would be a thing to tell the missus, though, wouldn't it? You're sitting there having a sarnie, and Sinatra walks in, sits next to you.
It wouldn't happen with my missus. She wouldn't believe it. Said, "Oh yeah, you've been seeing a bird, have you?"
Clint, always a pleasure to talk to you, mate. So I think that's a great image. Frank Sinatra sitting in one of the cab shelters having a sausage sarnie. Do you think he had brown sauce? What do you reckon? Let's talk to Martin in his cab, not about Holmes and Watson, but about cab shelters and who gets in them. Hello, Martin.
Hello, Robert. How are you, mate?
Very well indeed. So we've been talking about people turning up at cab shelters. You have to be a badge holder to sit in them, though, don't you?
You do. But this was one afternoon, about 2:30 in the afternoon.
Yep.
Same cab shelter that Clint was talking about. I used to go into it.
Well, is that the Pont Street one?
Yeah, Pont Street one in Chelsea. And she'd gone home, the proprietor. I won't mention her name.
Right.
She'd gone home, right? We got a knock on the door, and this guy, a photographer came along. Is it all right if Lionel Richie comes in and has a cup of tea? and there's because what we used to do was we used to lock up and throw the key through the window.
Right.
So we'd make ourselves last couple of cups of tea, then lock up and just go back to work, right? And I said, Lionel Richie? I said, you're joking. She went, no. The fellow went, no, Lionel Richie. Anyway, he said, oh yeah, bring him in, right? So there's me and this old cab driver, Dickie Forrester, right? I call him Sir Richard. He hasn't been knighted, right? So there's us three in this cab shelter. We're just having a cup of tea with Lionel Richie.
Was he dancing on the ceiling?
He was dancing on the ceiling. But I got him to ring my wife, and he went to her, hello, is this me you're looking for?
No.
He did. Gospel truth. I've got a picture in my house, right? And the photographer took a load of pictures, and he put them underneath the door. And when we went back in there the following week, after the pictures had developed, the worker around the cab shelter, she went ballistic at us. What are you doing with my shelter? We was wetting ourselves. And then, so I've still got the picture of me, Sir Richard, and some bloke with the whitest teeth I've ever seen in my life, Lionel Richard. When I was looking at him, I couldn't believe how white his teeth were. Oh, it was amazing. And it was fantastic. But the shelter at the time was lovely. Some of the nicknames, that you had Barking Bill, you had Bob the Case, because he always came in with a case.
Bob the Case.
You had Gary Outside, because he always told everyone, I live just outside London.
Gary Outside. I used to know a ticket touter who was known as Harry Round the Corner.